Hi, I'm Chris Hertz, and I have the pleasure today of speaking with Tammy Savage, founder and CEO of Groopit. Over the last 25 years, I've been a high-tech chief executive officer, chief operating officer, and chief revenue officer. So I've done it all, and recently had the opportunity to invest in Groopit. I did so because I found the origin story of Groopit to be both compelling and fascinating. Today, I have the real pleasure of exploring Tammy's journey in building this amazing company that is both creating a brand new category called crowdsolving and also helping to impact development. And Tammy, thanks for taking the time to speak with me today in this our fireside chat. And to start with, I just love to give me the background on where did crowdsolving come from? Where did the seed of this idea and this company germinate from?
Well, I actually discovered it at Microsoft. It turns out that there is an entire category of problems that are really hard for people to solve. And it's the problems where there's lots of people either involved or affected, different people. It could be different geographies, different perspective from different disciplines. But we didn't really have a good answer for that type of problem solving. So Microsoft ended up giving me 20 people and a number of years to go study it in the real world.
Yeah. So tell me more about that. So you get this team, you get a couple of years. What do you go and look at? When you think about problem solving, where did you go out and explore?
Yeah, well, I wanted to find the most intense problems that I could find to study those. So one of them that we chose was 9/11. And what I was looking for was studying the recovery after 9/11 and looking for where the problem solving broke down and why it broke down.
Yeah.
So we conducted so many interviews and heard tons of different stories from different leaders. And what would happen is they would all use different language to explain their challenges in the problem solving, but the themes were very consistent.
Yeah.
So what we developed was this fundamental understanding of why problem solving feels so slow and hard.
And so can you share? I mean, first of all, that's a really important thing to look at and understand. And so thank you for that. But what were the learnings that came out, and how did that drive what your next steps were?
Yeah, well, I kind of walked away with there's good news and bad news. The good news is the problem is not in the leaders and the people. Mm-hmm. And just every step of the way, I was inspired by the leadership when we were studying this. But what is happening is that the leaders don't have the software systems to support their leadership in a distributed environment. And we walked away with really understanding 6 things that they need. And I'm happy I'll share 3 of those with you today.
Yeah. Give us the top 3.
Yeah. Okay. So the first one is that they need real-time data from people, not long conversations, not long narrative from people, but real-time data from the people that are really on the front line of any problem. So that's number 1.
And in a company, who are those customer-facing employees really in a company for those folks? Yeah, applying this.
Absolutely. In a company, that's all the people that are talking to customers every day.
Yeah. Right.
The second thing that they need is real-time visibility into that data. Okay. And not just for themselves as a leader. This is really important. It's real-time visibility for everyone that's involved so that everyone has a front row seat, if you will, to the problem as it unfolds and changes. Because obviously problems aren't static. So people need to track. Everybody that's making decisions needs to be able to track the situation.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, empowerment is huge in terms of problem solving. And
absolutely, we can't operate in an opaque environment anymore. It has to be transparent. Yeah. So then the third one is that they need the ability to change direction, real-time direction in an instant, because as that problem unfolds, you need different and new information. So you have to have a degree of flexibility in your system that is it's got to be highly flexible. It can't be these hardened systems of records that are really valuable in some instances, not for complex problem solving.
And you've, speaking with me before, you've used a really simple analogy to explain this with the Waze traffic app, right? That you have all this data coming from frontline people who are collecting it, and then actually everyone is able to use that information to quickly reroute themselves. And that, I mean, I think it's a great analogy to sort of explain like a real world application of this type of crowd solving. But so tell me, why aren't you applying all this learning at Microsoft? Why are you at Groopit instead?
Look, Microsoft does amazing things, but this was not going to be one of those core things that they were going to do. At one point, Steve Ballmer actually asked me if I could go and use this idea to make Bing successful. And I think that that's the moment that I knew that if I wanted to bring this to market, it wasn't going to be at Microsoft. But I will tell you, how I wish that I would have had this crowd solving capability as a leader at Microsoft. In hindsight, that's what I needed.
Give me an example. So you spent 25 years at Microsoft. You're a general manager. You ran big products, very complex, very important products for Microsoft. Give me an example of where if you had Groopit, that it would have improved. I assume your decision making, the speed of decision making, the value of the product. Give me a breakdown of how this is helping transform product leaders' ability to drive their business forward.
Sure. Well, here's an example. One of the initiatives I led at Microsoft was taking 100 internet services that really operated in a siloed way to create 3 suites. And you'd know those suites today as MSN, Bing, and all the Windows Live internet services. And it took thousands of people to pull that off. They were literally people spread out all around the globe. So engineering, sales, operations, product management, design, it was very complex in terms of the number of people that had input to the strategy as well, or had valuable information to inform the strategy, as well as thousands of people to actually execute on it. So we spent countless hours identifying the product pain points that needed to be solved. And those pain points for customers, but also for our sales teams and for engineering so that we could accelerate this work. But what happened is I ended up just in this, what I call now ad hoc data collection chaos, where the data is everywhere, it's nowhere. Every leader has done this. You start manually extracting the patterns, right? You're looking for the patterns, it's in your head, you batch up that information, you come up with some conclusions, and then you try to get everybody aligned, right? We've all experienced that. By the time we were done, we had 3 suites, operating suites, and each of those businesses surpassed the $1 billion ARR mark. So we had a big win. But if I had Groopit, the difference would have been really that process would have been simplified and accelerated.
Yeah, I mean, that resonates a lot with me. Look, just in my most recent role as a chief revenue officer for a cybersecurity business, I constantly partnered with our chief product officer who would come to me so for me, I had all the revenue operations. So I had product support, I had customer success, I had sales engineering, all reporting into me. It was dozens of people, not the thousands you did with Microsoft. But what was interesting is that our CPO would constantly come to us and say, hey, I need to know this about either our prospects and customers or one of the others, but I want to know some bit of information. For example, how many are using HashiCorp's Terraform product? And if they're using Terraform, how many are using the open source versus the enterprise license, right? Because it's important to us in how we architect our next product part. And the ability for me to go and collect that information from this disparate group of folks was almost impossible. They all operate in different places. Some were in Salesforce, some were in Slack. And it was chaotic. And this was a regular occurrence where we struggled to capture information in a timely fashion, and then surface that to the right people within the organization to really drive decision making. And when you talk about Groupit, the light bulb goes and goes, man, that would have really revolutionized our ability to capture the right information at the right time and deliver it back to our product organization to allow them to really act more efficiently and with I think better accuracy. So I get it completely. I mean, to your point, if everyone experiences this, even having not sat in that product seat, I've been part of that that value chain and understand it.
Well, I think what you just described there is the thing that is so important about that is you just described a problem that spans multiple disciplines.
Of course, yeah.
Right? Because product development, they already have their systems in place that to scale how they manage product development, and sales has their systems in place like a CRM to manage sales. But in order to solve these complex problems in business, you have to build an operational bridge between disciplines. Yeah. And what you just described is the chief product officer and the chief revenue officer partnering to accelerate revenue. Yeah. And that's really the operational bridge that Groopit builds, helps leaders build.
So is that your elevator pitch? If I was the head of product, at a company today, what's that quick elevator pitch that you give as to why they should be bringing Groopit in? I mean, is that it?
Well, it's part of it. I'll tell you what I usually tell the product leaders is that Groopit helps you get high quality quantitative product feedback from employees that talk to customers every day. Yeah. It's so hard to do today, and it's so important. But the how Groopit does it is important because it's empowering everybody involved in product to make better, faster product decisions. Yeah. So that's my elevator pitch, and it really matters to both the people that care about revenue and the people that care about products. I'd like to say that everybody had their shared goal, and I think at the highest level they do, but we help make that a reality.
Well, it's amazing. So thank you so much, Tammy, for sharing your story. I found it fascinating. I hope everyone listened as well. And I know if they're interested in what you've talked about with Groopit, they should reach out to you and learn how you can help. So thank you very much.
Absolutely. Thanks, Chris.
Thank you.